Good morning, everyone. Today, our session is on international payment methods used in international trade under the subject area International Trade and Payments. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. R.M.N. Jivant, Acting Chief Operating Officer of Bank of Ceylon. He is a graduate from the University of Sri Jawadanapura and holds a BSc in Accountancy Special Degree and an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management. He is also a senior fellowship member of the Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka. Presently, Mr. Jivantha holds directorships at Merchant Bank of Sri Lanka and Finance plc, Lanka Securities Private Limited, and Say Bank Asset Management Limited. He is also a member of the governing board of the Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka. Additionally, he serves as a visiting lecturer at the University of Sri Jawadanapura and the Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka. That sums up who this distinguished person is. Sir, I warmly welcome you to conduct today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sadini. Thank you for the introduction you given to me. I think there is a small issue with the video, but we'll try to fix it. And first of all, I must thankful Professor Sumudu inviting me to do some awareness session on foreign exchange to you, and also Department of Business Economics and Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce also. And Binu for coordinating us all the way, bringing this awareness session, basically interactive session on foreign exchange to you all. I think, as you said, yes, Japura is my university. Way back, long time ago, I graduated from Japura University. Then I moved to John Keels. Then after that, I joined Bank of Ceylon, and I continue Bank of Ceylon from 2000 to basically 2002 onwards. So then I have 24 years of experience with Bank of Ceylon, and continue to be here in as well. And in the meantime, also I undertook some lectures for the University of Kalani and Japura University undergraduates as well. And several undergraduate students also visited the Bank of Ceylon dealing room also few occasions, and we accommodated you all to visit the biggest dealing room in Sri Lanka. And I think Professor Vasanta was the coordinator at that time. And a large number of students benefited by visiting Bank of Ceylon dealing room, and they understood what's happening real time with Sri Lanka and other countries. So that was one of the major benefits student undergraduates at that time. So that is the thing, and we will be continuing to support as a bank, the largest bank in Sri Lanka. We will be continuing to support you all. We know that you are the cream of this country. So you take this country forward, and we have a huge gratitude, huge regard on Japura University. The productions of the Japura University products are pretty absolutely very encouraging, and we have deployed large number of students, undergraduates, and after the graduation also the students and the graduates also join from University of Jayawardenepura. But compared to other universities, but we see large number of excellent people produced by the university. So then, especially in management side, so the management skills are up to the standard, and it's very basically encouraging us to see the how the world has developed and how the university has taken that new developments into the graduates and the undergraduates. So that we must thankful to the dean and the vice chancellor and everybody to take this initiative to give you maximum what's happening in the world or the theoretical plus practical knowledge. And once again, thank you for inviting for us to do this small session with you. So if you have any, feel free to ask any questions. If you feel that you have any unclear area, but ask questions. So that is the most important for you to learn, right? So that is the method of learning, asking questions. So if you have any doubts, sometimes you know better than me. So I have a practical knowledge, I have a kind of theory knowledge, but you maybe learn something else also, but you have a new knowledge. So we need you. That's why I told you we need you to recruit to the banks. Not only Bank of Ceylon, but other banks also willing to recruit your. So the management skill and the knowledge you have is amazing. Right. So thank you once again for inviting. And a very critical topic you all have selected, that is on foreign exchange. And Binupa has sent me some topic syllabus, or I mean the topics to be covered. But I have uploaded a small PowerPoint presentation, but I will not take each and everything from here, but we will have an interactive discussion with you. Then later you will see during the discussion, everything which is in the PowerPoint presentation will be covered. So that's our task. So then I have been given exchange rate, types of exchange rates, different payments methods, type of transaction taking place, key function of foreign exchange market, recent trends and development in the foreign exchange market. So then very vital, very valid, very current. So then everybody knows that what happened in 2022. So we actually announced as a country, we announced the bankruptcy, not the bankruptcy, but the suspension of foreign debt. That's a real word. So we have, true that we have defaulted some foreign debt, but the real word is we have announced the suspension of foreign debt. So that why we wanted to take this as a government, then government, why they wanted to take this decision, due to large number of systematic risk area. Systematic risk means this risk common to everyone. Especially sometimes not only the systematic but unsystematic risk also. So some risk, yes, common to everyone. Some risks, some matters actually common to us as well. So the basically kind of mismanagement also one of the reasons why we announced suspension of foreign debt in 2020. I can exactly remember 2022 April 12th. Now today is April 3rd, right? 2022. If you have recall your memories, we announced the suspension of foreign debt, right? So another 9 days ahead, right? So that's it. Now we have come out everything, but we have not started to pay foreign debt yet. We will be starting to pay it from 2028 onwards. But a multilateral, bilateral, of course, we are honoring them to pay, but especially the bondholders, right? You must be knowing what is the bond. So we will have a small discussion on that also. You must be very familiar with the treasury bond. So the rupee denominated bond and the treasury bills. So the treasury bonds are basically to take the money to the government from the public, right? Treasury bill and the treasury bond. Treasury bond is a longer term capital market instruments, longer term, more than 1 year. But treasury bills are short term, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, finish. If the government needs money, how does the government take money for the common things? So the one thing is tax. The government is basically taxing us, right? They tax on us. If the tax is not enough for them, then they go for borrowing. So the rupee borrowing is one of the mode of instrument they use is what? Treasury bill for short term, treasury bonds are the long term. But foreign debt, the suspension comes to government has defaulted, government has stopped paying, settling foreign denominated, dollar denominated instrument. What instrument? Not the loans, but the sovereign bonds, ISBs, international sovereign bonds. Same thing now when the government is asking money from us, locals, government has asked money from foreigners, people who are away from Sri Lanka to invest with us. So the foreigners will invest with us not in rupees, right? They will invest with us foreign currency, USD. But someone can ask then foreign, then the treasury bond can't foreigners invest? They can, but treasury bonds are in rupee denominated instrument. Then how can the foreigner invest here? So the foreigner can bring money here. They'll have to convert into LKR. They'll have to convert into LKR by using a bank. The foreigner brings money. There is a special account they have, that is IIA account, inward investment account. They'll have to bring money through IIA account. They have to open account with a bank. Then they can open account. Then they can convert whatever the money they have. Then they can invest in rupee denominated instruments, especially government instrument. So the government instruments are what? Treasury bill and treasury bonds. So then once the maturity comes, maturity also coming in terms of rupees, treasury bill, treasury bonds, which are issued by the government of Sri Lanka for the locals. But apart from the locals, foreigners also can invest. I'm telling you how the foreigners will invest with domestically issued treasury bill and treasury bond. Now, treasury bills are every week. Government issues treasury bill. Every week, every Wednesday, they issue. Treasury bonds are not like that. Treasury bonds, they have an ad hoc basis, need basis, they will issue. Treasury bills, every week they have auction. There are 10 people who can be participated at this auction. Who are they? Primary dealers. You know that. There are 10 primary dealers. They can participate at the auction. Now, for example, now say you want to invest in treasury bill. How can you do that? You can't participate at the auction. You are not a primary dealer. So you have to go to one of the primary dealers. There are 10 primary dealers. There are 5 banks, 5 companies. Right? Not all the banks are primary dealers, right? We have 26 banks. But we have only 5 banks as primary dealers. Yeah? 5 companies. So you can go there and you can open a CDS account, you can invest. Basically, you will be investing which secondary market. You will be investing in secondary market only, right? So then primary market is basically what? Primary market is government and the central bank and the primary dealers. That is primary market. So basically, if we want to purchase treasury bill or treasury bond, you have to speak to one of these 10 primary dealers and we have to invest. That is secondary market. So then one can ask, can't we invest in the private market? You can, but there are conditions. If you have more than 5 million rupees, you can invest still through primary dealer. Okay, that's a different thing. I'm just for your knowledge only. You must be knowing this. So then that is rupee denominated instrument. What I want to know is foreigners also can invest in rupee denominated instrument. How they bring foreign currency here, convert into LKR, they can. But when the maturity comes, the maturity will come to IIA account where they open in the bank. Then they can actually take by reconverting to their country. That's a mechanism, right? So then there were a few questions also during our sessions with undergraduates, whether the foreigners can invest in LKR denominated. Yes, you can. Yes, they can. They have to, this is the way. So then what was the ISBs? International sovereign bonds are basically issued by the government of Sri Lanka, inviting not in locals. So they didn't invite locals to invest. IA. So there is no new money coming, right? If the locals invest in ISBs, foreign denominated bonds, now say you have 1,000 rupees, $1,000, you have gone abroad and you brought money here, and you will be investing. Now where do you have this money? In the bank. Where? In Sri Lanka, in the PFC account. So then if you want to invest in the government treasury bond, ISBs, then you will basically withdraw money from the bank and you will be investing in the government. So there is only the place change. It doesn't come in new money. But the government needs to bring new money to the country by issuing ISBs. So that was the main reason why they have issued. Apart from the ISBs, they can actually borrow from the foreign country. That is another way. But rather than borrowing from a foreign country, if you issue a sovereign bonds, you have a kind of stability. Like you're showing to the foreign investors the stability of the country. So the foreigners will invest based on what? Now say, now everyone is like that, right? Now say, now you want to invest in a bank. How? Not, no, I'm not talking about the shares. Some banks have issued, corporate also issues debentures, right? When they need money, they issue debenture, right? Some are listed debenture. Listed debentures means they can actually, those instruments can be listed in the share market. So then, how do you decide to, now there are two banks, we say, one A and B. I will not mention the name, A and B. So then how do you select which one to invest? One thing is basically you go for the rate. Hey, money, you go for the rate. But is that the correct way for you to learn, for you to invest? Since you are basically a undergraduates from Japur, then you will not think about the rate, but you will be basically thinking of what? Repayment. Absolutely correct. Return is the one of the key areas. But the most important thing is one of the more important thing is what? Ability to get the money back. Okay? Ability to get the money back. So the repayment capacity, how do you assess the repayment capacity? Do you know what's happening in this bank A, bank B? You don't know. Then how do you know that? Ratings. Similarly, country has a rating. We have now triple C plus. We have not still come to the what you call investor grade rating. So we are struggling to have it, right? So the once we announced the suspension of death, actually we were downgraded, RD, restricted default, right? So when you have a rating for a country, no one will come. Now see, still, since we are not in the investment grade, we still see foreign investment to the post is not that much attractive, right? Not that much attractive. So why? So the investors basically will see what is the country rating. Similarly, you do. Now you have a two option, bank A and bank B. Similarly, they will also look for what is the country rating. So if there is any country rating below the investment grade, triple B is the threshold. Anything below, they will not come. කොච්චර කිව්වත් හොඳයි we have relaxed rules, they don't. Very rare that, right? So the why they are worried about their investment. So the ratings given by whom? Third party. Fitch rating, we have internationally we have three: Fitch, Moody, and S&P. Locally we have Fitch, we have, and Lanka rating also we have. That are locally two rating agencies. And previously we had another one, but they are not there now. Instead of that, we have Lanka ratings, right? But the country has three ratings, sovereign ratings. We call it sovereign ratings. Country, Moody, S&P, and do when we borrow, what do we do? So generally, some say similar. Now there is no rocket science. Now say when you borrow, at least for whatever the requirement, what do? You have to pay it back, right? You have to pay it back. So now you have borrowed. Now, why the country is borrowing? For the development. They don't use borrowed funds for the day-to-day activities, day-to-day expenses. They don't. Why? They have a tax. They have a tax money. Apart from, they can actually issue local denominated, rupee denominated instruments for the locals and capital expenditure, recurrent expenditure, everything. But when they borrow foreign currency, when they borrow foreign funds, actually they borrowed foreign funds for the development purpose only. Very rare that they will borrow money for the consumption. People will not invest. When before you make the investment, you will see the one thing is the rating, one thing is the yield, and the other one is you will ask, what is the purpose of you are borrowing from us? You will ask that. You have a right to ask. කිව්වොත් එම නෑ මේ මට මේ නිකන් නිකන් මේ එදිනෙදා මට මේ පොඩ්ඩක් මේ වියදමක් තියෙනවා. Then you will not give money, right? Obviously, right? So then you will ask the purpose. So the purpose is generally development purpose. So then when you develop, when you have development projects funding requirement, and when you borrow these funds for the development purpose, and when you invest in, you should earn something. So that's why I told it's a kind of mismanagement. So you invested, but the return has not come. So then again, what do you do? Again, you borrow and settle this. It's a rolling over. Now, why the government? So you know, government has ample amount of tax money. Recently, also trillions. Actually, government is maintaining their accounts with the two state banks. One is with the Bank of Ceylon, the other one is People's Bank. All the tax money comes to these two accounts, right? DST accounts. So that they have ample of them. Now, why then one can ask why still they are issuing treasury bills, treasury bonds. Actually, they issue treasury bonds to pay the previous issued treasury bonds for the settlement. It's a rolling over. So they can actually use tax money to settle this. They actually used it. Actually, they want to reduce the borrowings. That is the IMF condition. So our debt to GDP ratio was more than 100, 110. Now it has come down below 100. That's one of the requirement for us to. And another requirement is generally is a reserve requirement. Now, how much reserve we have? We have reserve 6.7, right? We have reserve, and we have a target of 6.8, and we have a target of to have this year end also 7.3. That is not the IMF condition, but since we are actually heading to pay the foreign debt in 2028, we should have it. By 2028, we should have a reserve $13 billion. So what does it mean? What is this reserve? Reserve is basically there to utilize when you don't receive the foreign exchange inflows. Now, what are the sources we get foreign currency inflows? කොහොමද ලංකාවට foreign currency inflows එන්නේ? What are the sources? The first thing is what? Exports. Second one is inward remittances. That is the people who have worked abroad, they're sending money to Sri Lanka, right? So the last year we have recorded the largest history, 7 billion plus. Then what? Then the tourism. So 4 billion income we get before 2019. What was the Sunday attack? So 4 billion one. Actually, we wanted to reach to that level last, but due to this Middle East crisis, of course, that is a little one. This is a problem for us to achieve this target also. Then the FDIs. Those are the few main areas we receive foreign currency inflows. Now, if you don't, now during the crisis, during the COVID, now we had what, 2019 Easter Sunday attack. Then what happened? Then the foreign, basically, it has not much impacted for us. It's an internal one. We attacked, but only thing there are few what do you call difficulties we had to face. But then the what? Then what? Then the COVID came. COVID was the largest hit we received. We couldn't go to international market, raise funds. We couldn't do that, right? අප ගත්තු ISBs ගෙවන්න, so we deployed, but we don't get return. What happened is then we'll have to settle it, right? So how do you find the foreign exchange? If these sources are not enough for you to make the settlement of foreign debt, then you go to international market and borrow. But during the COVID, you're not supposed to go to international market. Everybody was impacted, right? කවුද ණය දෙන්නේ දවස්වල? No one. So then what happened? We had to settle it. So the one thing is, now when you obtain a loan from a bank, one thing is when you obtain a borrowing from your friend, there are two things can be done, right? One thing is to settle on time. Otherwise, you can ask the extension. So that we call it deferment. Sorry, මට ගෙවන්න බෑ මේ එදා දවසට. Can you give me a 1 month extension? So we call it in banking terms deferment. You can defer the payment, but the lender should be agreeable to do that. Similarly, ISBs, people who have issued ISBs also got this one. But government wanted to pay it. But if the now say now you borrowed and you said, can you give me a extension from your friend? So the what is the perception your friend has? අපෝ මෙයාට නම් මං ආයි කවදාවත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. Got it? මෙයාට නම් ආයි කවදාවත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ කොහොමද මම මේක ගන්නවා? I will never give him money. That's perception. Similarly, government. Okay, we will give you, but they will keep in their mind, we will never invest in this kind of country. So then what happened? The government took the decision to settle it. During the COVID, we didn't have any of these inflows, right? Very rare. Only the inward remittances we had during the crisis. Export, you can't export. You can't, the people who have not visited Sri Lanka to tourism, then the FDIs didn't come. All the sources dried up. So then the only source we had was inward remittances. Right? Inward remittances. So then we survived only with the inward remittances, but that was not completely enough for us to pay our debt. What did the government do? They used the reserve money to pay. අර හංගලා තිබ්බ සල්ලි ටික ඒ කියන්නේ අර what call පැත්තකට කරලා තිබ්බ සල්ලි ටික හදිස්සියට ගන්න ඕන සල්ලි ටික they used to settle the debt. So what is this general reserve is what? Now says country is now basically government is very happy to have more than this whatever the expected level. Now government is announcing, every government is announcing we have a 7 billion, we have a 6.5 billion reserves we have. What does it mean? It means if you don't have any inflows, like I told you, we can survive. We can survive how many months by importing goods. So then what is the purpose of having reserve? Import goods. But what we used in 2022 to settle the debt. So remember, this is the cause of the crisis. During the COVID, yes, we used, then the economic crisis came. Obviously, right? So now see the sequence we faced. So then what happens was, now generally Sri Lanka has 4 months and 4.5 months. We can survive by importing goods, by utilizing this reserve. So if you have more, then you can survive more. That's what it means. So once we had the largest, once I can remember the lowest, we had 20 million. 20 million, right? We are talking about the billions dollar. We had once 20 million. 20 million medical bandako 300 how much we had in our reserves, right? So that was the time, right? We undertook, we passed 2022, 23, right? That's why we were heading to the economic crisis. Then, so we utilized, but there is a limit for us to utilize, right? Whatever the saved money, reserves. After that, you can't do that. ඒක utilize කරන්න තිබ්බා if you have actually refilling also not happening, but you're actually depleting whatever the money in the general reserve. You started to pay 1 or 2 settlements, we did it. After that, we actually we can't do that. There is no money to pay on the settlement. So what happened? Finally, they decided to announce we can't pay you further. That's what actually happened in 2000. I told you the 12th of April. I was the head of treasury in Bank of Ceylon, right? Imagine that. So then foreign currency, then the foreign debts actually suspended. So the government doesn't pay means banks also can't pay. The රටක government එක default වුණා කියලා කියන්නේ it affects to everybody, right? Not only the government banks, but everybody impacted. Not only us, the private banks, everyone. We are a default nation. We had many number of default nations, right? Greece, Argentina, Zambia. All we had those days. We had discussion with the debt restructuring, right? But yes, then we what happened? Then the economic crisis came. We didn't have dollars to pay. We imported crude oil, but we didn't have money to pay. But a completely different situation now and then, right? Now those days we had ample of stocks, crude oil. Those days, Middle East, Middle East වල ප්‍රශ්න තිබුණේ, but we didn't have money to pay. ඒකට උනේ. But this time other way around. We have money, but only thing that there is a value chain disruption. Yeah, right. But I think now it's basically coming uh, crude oil also. It's very difficult to Strait of Hormuz, but there are few alternative methods government has taken importing from India and Russia, right? So we can remember those days when you open the LC. We have one of the methods of foreign payment is the LC. You must have seen if you go through the PowerPoint presentation. Basically, what does it mean? So the basically CPC, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Sorry about the sound distraction, right? You will see that CPC, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation will open LC. LC කියලා කියන්නේ so then basically you ask one of the bank, now say Bank of Ceylon, you ask Bank of Ceylon to open the letter of credit. නායවර ලිපි කියලා කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන්. Ask. So then what happened? Bank opens on behalf of CPC, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. So what does it mean? Now look at here. Now when the bank opens the LZ on behalf of a customer, now we say CPC, so basically bank takes the responsibility to settlement. Who takes the responsibility? Not the customer. Bank takes the responsibility to settle it. See the difference. You basically say one day once you become a graduate, then you will be importing a luxury vehicle. So what do? Then you go to the bank and open a letter of credit. Bank will ask money from you. Why bank is not sure about whether you will pay back. But if you හොඳ කස්ටමර් නම් බැංක් එකෙන් රයිට් කමන්නේ නැහැ පොඩි මාජින් එකක් තියන්න පස්සේ ඕක ආවහම ඔයා සෙටල් කරන්න. Same thing, but CP is right, the government SOE. SOE කියන්නේ state don't enterprise. So we can't actually ask money from them, right? So then once the LC settlement comes, they will give rupees. They don't have dollars. They will give rupees to the bank. Bank will generate dollars and bank will make the payment. That's the mechanism for the LC settlement. But who undertakes the settlement? Bank. If the customer doesn't pay, if the customer doesn't give rupees to the bank, still bank liable to pay that. අන්න ඒක තමයි එතන තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. Letter of credit. LCs. Bank is giving assurance to the supplier bank, exporter bank. අපි කියමු මේක අපි ගෙන්නන්නේ සිංගප්පූරු ඉඳලා ගිලිවලා. සිංගප්පූරුවේ මේ තෙල් ගෙන්නන කෙනාට Bank of Ceylon එයාගේ දිනන account he maintains account in Singapore. So the Bank of Ceylon will give assurance to the exporters bank who is in Singapore. Don't worry, you send money, you send crude oil, everything, right? I'm just taking an example, crude oil, everything. That is the way. You send goods here, we will undertake to pay you. Who? The bank. So the exporter who is in India, this crude oil, is not worrying about whether the customer CPC will give money to bank. He's not worrying about. The exporter will see, okay, give us money, you guaranteed us. You as a bank, you guaranteed pay us. So the similar thing happened in 2000. The bank took polling Tibba there was a limited supply of crude oil, right? We undertook to open it and we get only the few amount of small amount of foreign remittances, Bank of Ceylon. Then we actually managed to pay it, but not the entire. Entire ගෙවන්න අපිට සල්ලි හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ. Few exports also happening, but money was not enough to settle it. But we open LCs පොඩ්ඩක් හරි මේක ගේන්න ඕනේනේ. දැන් අපි electricity වලට we use crude oil and vehicle also run, few vehicles also should run, hospital also should run. Then we imported, we open LC, but ultimately what happened? Bank took the responsibility to make the payment. Actually, we had to default it also. That is known factor. Later we actually settle it. But I want to tell you is under the international payment method, one thing is LCs. Bank undertakes to make the payment for the settlement, not the customer. Customer has to give. So that's why banks asking 100% margin when they open the LC. ඉල්ලනෝනේ. ඉල්ලනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ වාහනයක් ගෙන්නනකොට they asking a margin, but central bank has relaxed the margin. Even at a 0% margin, you can open LC. අර බැංකුව ඉතින් අර to be on the safe side බැංකුව ඉල්ලනවා 125ක් දෙන්න නැත්නම් 100ක් දෙන්න කියලා සමහර අයගෙන් ඉල්ලනවා. Right, when you import. So that's different issue, different things. But central bank has not prescribed at the moment to have any margin. Now, ඒ දවස්වල තිබ්බ 110. අපි කියමු දැන් මේ වටිනාකම භාණ්ඩයක 100 නම් the customer has to keep 110 rupees. Keep the margin. One thing is they want to discourage the import those days. That when you want to discourage the import, you put a margin. 110 margin, 120 margin. Before you, vehicle comes after 3 months only. But now you have to find the money and deposit in a bank which is not interest bearing. Now see, all these things happen what? Under moral association, price stability and system stability. Central bank, there are two things. They have price stability and the system stability. So one of the tools they're using is moral association. Again, they're telling them, instrument එකක් නෑ, but they tell the bank, do this. So they actually impose this to restrict import. Now, you don't worry about when you import a vehicle, vehicle comes after 3 months, so after 3 months you can do the settlement as a monthly. So then what happened was, those days, the banks undertook to, only the state banks undertook. If you don't have dollars, you have the responsibility to make the settlement on the maturity of the LCs. Who else? But as government bank, we had to undertake the open the LCs. But we know that it's very difficult for us to settle, but we manage it. That's the thing. What I want to tell you is, now we are a resilient nation. Now you saw during the crisis, no bank has failed. No bank has failed in Sri Lanka. But look at US. How many banks they failed recent past? How many banks they have? During the subprime mortgage, 2008, how many banks? Lehman Brothers collapsed, right? So what happened was, you must be knowing it, they actually given loans on property mortgage. Property mortgage has come down. People didn't settle it. Disaster. And recent past also, they did it, right? Recent past, 3 banks collapsed, bankrupt. So then interest rate, due to the interest rate, they have now, when you have treasury bill, treasury bond interest, treasury bill, treasury bond investment, there is a, you must be, I think you must have learned by now, but there is a formula, price and the yield. Now say now what is the interest rate now going at treasury bill? Now last week auction, there is an increase of treasury bill rates last week. 840 විතර ආවා. So that was the recent past, that was the largest increase we see due to this crisis. Last auction එකේදී 1 year treasury bill traded at auction එකේ 8.41. 8.41, 3 months has gone up from 764 to 780. 0.16 වලින් වැඩි වුණා. Last auction එකේ කියන්නේ මේ බදාද every Wednesday you have auction, I told you. Previous auction එකේ 7.95, but last auction, Wednesday auction, it has gone up to 8.09. 0.14 වලින් it has gone up. So the treasury bill, again I'm telling you, I will come to the where I stop. When you have treasury bill investment, treasury bill rates up means interest rate in the country also going up. Now, remember that investing in the treasury bill, investing with the government is totally risk-free. Do you agree with me? Investing with the government is totally risk-free. Then when I say this, the people will ask, how can you say that the government, we have defaulted the many facilities? But remember that in Sri Lanka, we are a Sri Lankan. We are Sri Lankans. We have never defaulted rupee denominated instrument, right? Not like other countries. Zambia, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ local currencies, they defaulted. But Sri Lanka, we have never defaulted. Now, when you invest with the government, I told you ISBs, people who have invested with the government in dollar terms, government we can't pay you. Similarly, you invested with the government in rupee terms, they honored it. Even during the crisis, they honored it. Even during the crisis. Only issue was the foreign currency. Government එක දාපු සල්ලි government ඉතින් මම ගත්තා මම government එක නම් so I took it from you but I said I can't pay you now I will pay you later. හැබැයි ඒක later නෙමෙයි උනේ. Under the debt restructuring you have to compensate a percentage. You know it right what's happening? What has happened? Haircut කියලා අපි කිව්වේ. So you invested 100. Government said we can't pay you 100 even after the period. So then ඒක තමයි. No, we can't pay you everything. Look here. Now we are going to start it from 2028 onwards. Government said we can't pay you everything. People have invested with us dollars thinking that Sri Lanka will pay them back. Interest plus what? Principal amount. That's why I told you, you should look for not only the interest, repayment ability. We had a very good rating. We had a very good rating. That's why foreign investors also invested, but we never actually intended. We never expected this situation, but I think rating agencies have predicted. They have predicted it, right? That there will be so they will actually look for the future. I think there was no rating downgrade at that time, but there was a discussion going on whether the Sri Lanka can pay this. But if you analyze, if you are an investor, if you analyze properly, then you would have not invested. Now, people who have invested in Sri Lanka, now we are going to start it from 2028 onwards, but still they don't get the entire amount they invested. They are subject to a haircut. Maximum is 27%. So then අපි කියමු 30 කියලා. So you will be receiving, foreigners will be receiving, foreign investor will be receiving only 70. That is this restructuring. So everybody like, I don't know whether you can remember now, see, there were many discussions, right? Say now I invested with you, I gave you 100 rupees. You say, I will pay you later. Okay, I accepted. But later you coming and saying, I can't exactly pay you the entire amount, but I will give you half of it. See, that is this restructuring. If you don't have money, if you don't have earnings to pay, how can you pay? Can't pay. But ultimately, there was a number of round of discussion. Now see, you are a company. You invested in Sri Lanka. Now you know what happened to Greek bonds? People were punished, right? By investor who took the decision makers were punished. Similarly, the investors, individual investor it doesn't matter, but the funds, corporates, companies have invested in Sri Lanka. Now they don't get the entire amount. See the repercussion that people who have taken the decision to invest in Sri Lanka face. The amount they invested won't get everything. See, so that's why before you make the investment, you have to analyze a lot. Particularly, the money is not belong to you. So that one day you go out and work somewhere, you will be the big shot. You will be representing the boards. You will be representing the management. So basically, you will be taking the decisions. But if you are the chair of whatever the committee, and you take that investment decision to, okay, we will invest in this instrument, but the company collapsed, when company bankrupt after a few weeks or whatever the period, then you will be in charge of that. You took the decision. You are the chairman of that committee. Can you basically give a justification? You can't. Now see the responsibility. See the responsibility. So then people who have invested must be, they were in very, very difficult situation they will face. But remember that now still haircut is that. You won't get everything. That is 2020, so will be so the repercussion is this. Why we have faced this? Due to the lack of inflows we expected. Now, same thing also happening now. Actually, that's why I told you this topic is very much current. So the 2022, that was 4 years ago. So you must be very, very young. You are not much aware of it. You must have feel it. You must have felt it. Why? What was the inflation that time? 70%. Your parents must have felt it. You must be in the queues with your parents. So you felt it, but you don't know what is this, right? You didn't know what is this. But today you will be facing the same due to this conflict, but different version. That's I told you, different version. But remember, major tea exports also hampered. So the largest tea exporter, importer from Sri Lanka is Middle East. Difficult to send. So the disruption to what? Export earnings. Then Middle East crisis. We have 1.5 million or roughly 2 million people working. The large number of expatriates working in Middle East. Apart from that, we have people from South Korea, then the Italy, yeah, in the Middle East and the Israel. Large number of people, more than 50% or the 46% expatriates work in Middle East. Now remember that. Now think about them. If you have any relatives, then you must be. Yesterday, I got a call from Kuwait. He said the missiles also landing from morning to evening. We don't get now. It's a now general thing, right? It's new to us, but for them it's a general thing. They get every time, not every day, but every time they get. People who are in Kuwait, but other countries also, right? So then people won't send money, and sometimes the person who work there may be losing their jobs as well. So then there will be impact to what? 7 billion, which we have earned last year, remittances. Export, yes, tea, other exports also we are sending to Middle East, hampered. Then the remittances, of course, foreign investment. I told that with this sovereign downgrade, we are getting some kind of investments, right? We are not completely dried. We're getting, but not as we expected. Not as India gets, not as Singapore gets, not as Vietnam gets. Right? We have a port city ready for investment. We have a local investment. Right? Recently, I have seen first one was a LOLC groundbreaking ceremony also there. Then the recent past Homeland and Prime Land also. They wanted to build apartment also. Remember, you can't invest in port city LKR, right? You can't. It's a separate set of laws. රටේ කෑල්ලක් වුණාට separate set of laws. You have to make the investment in foreign currency only. Meaning is what? People who come to invest in port city, they can't borrow from banks, local banks. You can't. They have to bring money from outside. It's illegal. We have a separate law. We have a separate law. Right? So then all the inflows, we have a little what do you call destruction, not the destruction, but there is a kind of obstacle to send, to receive to Sri Lanka. So then we are actually suffering from what then? Foreign currency crisis also. We will be facing. So then the crude oil prices have gone up like nothing. We have to spend more. Now, I think government has issued electricity saving measures also, and I don't know whether the power cut will be there, but now the government has issued electricity saving campaign. They are actually doing it. They have issued several measures to implement all Sri Lankans to save energy. Why? We don't have rain. Majority, the large amount of we produce electricity, hydropower, then the coal, then the fuel. So the once you bring fuel, we have to use for the transportation, everything, but we have to use for the electricity generation also. But if you save the electricity, we can actually save the fuel as well. The large amount, the huge prices, right? Huge prices. But say now when you import Russian oil, how can you make the payment? Can you do a transaction with Russia? You can't. Why? There are sanctions. What do you mean by sanctions? There are two types of sanctions. One thing is sanction put by United Nations, and another sanction is what? Imposed by whom? US. If you deal with sanctioned country, Russia is a sanctioned country. There is no sanction imposed by UN, right? UN එක දාලා නැහැ Russia වලට sanction. Then who has imposed? Sanction has been imposed by the uh, sorry student. So then uh, yeah. So then we have to save this. So energy prices. So then we will be a little in trouble. So then prices have gone up. Then the LC's amount also has gone up like nothing. Then, but we expect we have to anyway settle it. The bank is basically undertaking that as well. But some countries like Indonesia, Philippines, they have Philippines, Indonesia, they have announced the whole emergency situation, right? But we don't have any queues now, right? Whatever the prices is available, that's what we need it. That's a differential. Prices have gone up. We can't do that. Then you will see the exchange rate. Now, by now, in this year, we have 1.6% rupee depreciation. What do you mean by depreciation? The amount you pay is higher is a depreciation. Now, say we had 315, 318 level. Now, 315 level. You see, general selling price is 318. Make it 302, 304. Now, suddenly it has gone up by 1.6% by now up to this year. May call it. 1 point, yes, 6. Now it's going at 315. Right? So then it's now the amount you pay to acquire dollar is getting more. එක ඩොලර් එකකට ගෙවන ගාණ වැඩි වෙනවා. What does it mean? Your currency, LKR, is getting depreciated. When a country's exchange rate depreciated, it is not good for the country's economy. Who will be benefited? Who will be not benefited by having, if we have similar situation now, see? Now it was at 305. Now it has gone up to 315 during this crisis. Who will be benefited? Obviously exporters, right? But unfortunately, there is no ample of exports earnings for them to convert. Hey, sir, 305 දුන්න එක ඩොලර් එකකට දැන් 300 15ක් හම්බ වෙනවා. 10 rupees more. Right? Then who will be importers? The amount you pay to get import has gone up, which leads to what? The amount you pay has gone up to acquire whatever the food. What do you mean by that? The prices of the goods and services going up is what? Inflation. So we had a target of 5% inflation. We have a target. Sri Lanka has a targeted inflation, which is 5%. If 5% reach करे නැත්තම් central bank එක every time they have to go to the parliament and give explanation why it has not reached කියලා ඉවරලා. Now we expect this will reach. We will. But we have not seen recent past not reaching to 5%. We have only 2 point, we had minus also. One. Then we had 2.3, 2.6 like that. 2.6 තමයි the latest. But we see that in March end, then when they release the March one, there will be an increase. Inflation. When the inflation increases, what happened to the interest rate? Also increase. When you are holding the treasury bill, treasury bond, when the interest rate goes up, you will be making losses. කොහොමද කියලා it's a technical thing. When you're holding the government securities, you like interest rate to come down. Now there is a relationship between price and the yield. I'm not sure whether you have learned, but if you have learned, just recall it. When the interest rate goes up, yield goes up, price should come down. 100ට ගත්ත එක or 100ට ගත්තේ 10ක් තියෙදි නම් 10ක් තියෙදි නම් ඔයා ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරේ treasury bill එක when you invest the treasury bill at 10%, now the interest rate has gone up due to the inflation has gone up. Now it's going at 12% කියලා we say. Now the market is going at 12% interest rate. You purchase at 10%, you invested at 10%, now it's 12%. Yield has gone up, price should come down. The price you have acquired, price you have purchased at 10%, we say 80. Now you can't, if you purchase 80, for you to make profit, you have to sell it at more than 80, right? 80ට ගත්ත එකක් profit එකක් එන්න, you have to sell it at more than 80. Now you have to sell it at below 80. Are you making profit or loss? Losses. So that's why government security holders don't like interest rate to go up. They are making capital losses. They're making capital losses, right? If you have any doubt, later you call me and ask how does it happen. I will teach it to you, but this since we are talking about the foreign exchange, but we will skip it. But remember that. So what I want to tell you is, since this exchange rate is also moving up, depreciating, interest rate is also tend to go up. What will happen? The investors, the foreign investors who have invested in Sri Lanka in treasury bill and treasury bond, they are losing their money. When they're losing their money, what do they do? They pre-sale and go back. Got it? They brought money here, foreign currency, converted into LKR, invested in government securities. Now you see they have 5-year bond. Now it's 2 years, 3 years to go. Interest rate also tend to go up. Exchange rate also has gone up. What do? Immediately they take a decision. Okay. Premature we will sell it. And my command loss tawat loss premature they sell it. Reconvert into LKR. The dollars, foreign currency, then take it back. Take it back. When they brought here 305, say they have brought here $1 at 305. Now 315. Say during the they have actually invested for 2 years. They have earned $3. They have invested at 305, converted at 305 rupees. Now after 2 years time they get, we say 600 rupees with the interest and everything. They get everything 600 after 2 years, but another 3 years remaining. But they want to quit this investment. They want to pull out this investment. Why? Exchange is going up. Now they have to divide this 600, 315. දැන් බලන්න අර 600 එක බෙදෙන එක යට ගන්න මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? වැඩි වෙනවා. වැඩි වෙන්න what will happen the answer? Answer is getting lower. The amount they retain as dollars, amount they retain as foreign exchange to take back to their country is getting lower. When the exchange rate is getting depreciated, foreign investors don't like this will to continue. What happened? What do? They actually premature withdraw it. ඇයි 600 315න් තමයි දැන් බෙදන්නේ. හැබැයි මීට සතියට කලින් කරා නම් 600 බෙදන්නේ කීයෙන්ද? 312න්. When you divide 600 by 312, better answer than the 600 divided by 315, right? Simple arithmetic. Investors are doing that. So meaning is what? They actually pulling out their investment. They actually premature their investment, foreigners. So then what will happen? They want to take back their money back. They need what? Dollars. So the bank has to give dollars. There is a demand for dollars. When you have more demand, supply is also disrupted. දැන් මේ supply තුනම ඔක්කොම එන්නේ නැහැ මොකුත් අඩු එනවා but limited. When you have more demand, less supply, what will happen to the price again? Getting depreciated. Now see the chain effect. Now remember, student, all these economic fundamentals are interconnected. You can't isolately take inflation separately. You can't isolately take interest rates separately. GDP growth, you can't. Everything is interconnected. So that's why we need what? Proper management. That's why we need proper management. If you don't have proper management, disaster. Wherever, right? Not only the government. Wherever you work, one day you will be working, you will not go to the lower level. Now there are 65 people joining here. Binupa told me there are 71 students due to some, but you can watch the video. I don't know whether it's recording or not. But then you will be basically representing the higher level, not only the top, but at least the middle level. It takes for you to go to the middle, but you have a chance to go. But the management is key. Sometimes you will never use what you learn in the university. All are theory, sometimes. But you have what? Experience. Now, those days, when we were doing this university undergraduate programs, we never had this kind of sessions. We never had. That was way back in 2000. I did A level 94. So then we had two batches, 93 and 94. Then passed out. We didn't have any problems, right? In these days also, you don't feel any problems. Within 4 years, you can get out of the university. Then, but we had interns also, internship also. That's why I selected John Keels to go there. Then I worked for some time. Then I decided to join the bank. Now still we can see undergraduates are doing banking exams. Very good sign. Even you don't join the bank, but you have a qualification there, right? Now, some banks you must have seen, this is out of what we discussed. Some banks you must have seen asking for a MBA for the management trainees. Now see the world, though, see the world has changed. Now those days only what? Basic degree and the professional qualification. That was a part, professional qualification. That was the requirement for us to join the Bank of Ceylon. Once I joined the bank, I was doing accountancy, so generally I should be a chartered accountant. Right? I started to do that, but after I joined the bank, I skipped it. But I always telling the student, even at the banking institute, even at the bank, even at you, don't skip it. Recently only I wanted, but it's not relevant to me being a chartered accountant since I'm a banker there. But I thought I had to finish only one subject. It has Now remember that. So the 2020, 2000 valadi again. So I completed now only. I just wanted to. I got a message from one of my friends. There is a syllabus change. Since you have auditing, do it killer. So I thought I did it. But fortunately, unfortunately, I got through. Now I actually faced the case study also. Case study also got through. I have Viva only. Now see the but my advice is to you, since you are small at age, don't skip anything. Don't skip. Once you skip something, especially the exam, you will never do that. Now take me as example. So that if you join a completely different what you have learned in the university, you will completely forget everything. You will never do that. So as I'm a banker, I did the banking exams. I did MBA. ඔක්කොම ලොකු ඒවා කරාට but I left it. I also joined the SIMA also. I am a student. I have not completed halfway through. Why? Since I joined the bank, I thought of why should I going to do this? Why should I why should I want to do a complete account? Don't do that. These days you can't refrain from anything doing. Don't skip it. Do whatever professional like add whatever the professional exams, professional qualification is very, very vital. Now, BSc degree is now preliminary requirement. Now, see, preliminary requirement now. අර හර්ස්බර්ග්ගේ two factor theory එකේ තියෙන hygiene factors තියෙන්න ඕනේ හැබැයි. තියෙන්න ඕනේ. නැත්තම් බෑ. හැබැයි තිබ්බා කියලා ලොකුවට importance නැහැ කියලා නෙමෙයි, but you are the cream, I told you, right? Don't misunderstand me. You should have it. You should have it anyway, you should have it, but ඒක විතරක් මදි. අන්න ඒකයි. Basic degree is not enough. But if you don't have basic degree, forget about everything. You should have it. But that was not the only thing corporates required from you. You need more than that. This is the very good time, right? Before you go out of the university, study well. You don't have any what do you call much burden. Much කියලා කිව්වේ no කියන එකට මම අයින් කරා. But I know that people are facing difficulties. People are facing it, but your parents are anyway, right, giving this opportunity for you to learn. They provide everything. Government provides a kind of assistance to you, right? You can go out and work somewhere and you can earn something. I know they are hard working student, but do the hard work at the university, but don't do hard work at the workplace. Got what I'm saying? We need what? Smart workers. We don't want hard workers. උදේ 8ට ඇවිල්ලා ඉවරලා රෑ 8ට 9ට යන we don't want them. We don't want them. We need smart people, right? So try to be a smart. The workload may be not tolerable for you. You have a large amount of workload you can come. When you go up the ladder, responsibility is more, right? කෙනෙක් හිතන්න පුළුවන් උඩට යන්න 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 ඔයා මේ ඔයාට ෆ්‍රී වෙනව නේද කියලා. No. When you go further up, you have a large amount of responsibility. Why? You are the decision maker. You are the decision maker. You have immense responsibility. Now see, organization එකක් when the organization is collapsed, bankrupt, who will be fired first? CEO. CEO is fired. CEO is asked to resign, not the employee. Why? He's the leader. He should take care of everything. So the one day you become a leader, remember this. You protect your subordinates. You give a leadership to them. But ask them to be a smart worker. Ask them to be a smart worker. So I'm 100% sure that why I'm saying this, you will be placed at the middle management. You are not going to work. Now you're working, an internship වල වැඩ කරනවනේ. ඒක you will be not after graduating, you will be not working there. Once you have professional qualification, once you have a chartered SIMA, everything, so you can't place at your lower level. You will be placing a middle or upper. So then you have a set of people to control. You have a set of people to get things done. So this is important for you. I'm telling you through my experience. I have seen you all. I have worked with you all. I have been with you. So I'm very much older to you, right? So that I can tell you, right? So I can tell you. So then understand this, right? So what I want to tell you, don't skip it. And the time management is very, very important. මම දැන් ඇත්තට මේ chartered අන්තිම subject එක කරේ last moment. But last moment, last minute studies also sometimes work for not only everybody. I didn't have time to do that. That's why. But I'm not telling you to do that. But study well, get the things done properly, get everything. So then, but the tendency is also now in Sri Lanka also we have a more than women population. We have accepted more than 50% women. Banks also we have a more than the women population. So the one day, now we have corporate management headed by CEO, second is CWO, then we have only five. We have 20 corporate management. We have five women, ladies. But after 3 to 4 years, or within 5 years, everybody in the bank of Ceylon will be, the corporate management will be ladies. Will be ladies. So then what we can now recent we have recruited 900 staff assistants for the lower level. Majority lady. Majority. So then sometimes especially the boys they don't like to work in banks. Especially the children of banks parents. They don't like. Why? They know what time their parents come. They know what time the parents leave the bank. They know what time their parents reach home. They don't want to do that. There are a few people, and they actually wanted to come for the interview because of their parents forcefully told him to go for an interview. They actually told us. I was not in the interview panel, but I was told they actually face this interview because their parents, they are they are bankers. Their parents wants to go in for an interview and join the bank. They don't want to do that. දැන් අර ඉස්සර වගේ නෙමෙයි, they don't worry about the work late. No. Now everything is in your hand, everything is in your phone, everything, so nothing. But utilize them in a proper way. I've always given this advice, and I'm really happy that when I did some lectures also to you all, and during my sessions, I withdrawn from doing. I didn't have much time. The evening I couldn't have time to do that. Then I understood was I think you all better than the banking students. Banking students, they're actually in the bank, right? You're undergraduate, still you're learning, third year of finance, but you have better knowledge than them. Only thing we have to push them to just show the direction for you to learn. That's all. Right, that's something else. So then, basically, what happens is now all the obstacles may be there for the foreign earnings. So the depreciation can happen further. So the depreciation is the rupee depreciation, and understand there are two things: depreciation and devaluation. Depreciate now, exchange rate in Sri Lanka determined by the supply and demand. Supply and demand. If you have more demand, rate obviously, right, rate goes up. If you have less demand, comes down. But remember, we have free floating. What do you mean by that? ඔහේ මාකට් එකට දෙනවා to determine the exchange rate. Market will determine the exchange rate. What is this market? Day-to-day market, demand and supply. That's an IMF condition. Free float. But remember that we have managed free float. What does it mean? When the rate excessively depreciate, it will be what you call who gets the what you call importers get affected, right? When the exchange rate getting depreciated further, then money should come to the market. When you have now all importers demand, demand, more demand, but there is no dollars. What will happen? Prices should go up. That's what actually happened now. Right? If you don't have proper inflows, then another problem comes. We don't have another problem comes. Then somebody should provide dollars. Who is this somebody? I told you their central bank one purpose is what? Price stability and system stability. Then the central bank will provide some money. Whom the central bank provide reserves? Recent past they did it. That's why we call it managed free floating. So the managed free floating. It's true that free floating, but central bank can't intervene. But if something goes wrong, if something impacted negatively to some section, then they will. So they will provide to ease the demand. If there is any excess, they can purchase from the banks. Now, these days, they don't have purchase from the bank, but last couple of months before this war start, they have a target of having, I told you here, the 7.8.82 7.3. They should have end of December 2028. They should have $13 billion reserve requirement. Right? We are going to start it. Repayment. Debt. We can't go to another debt restructuring. We can't go to another crisis. Second crisis is worse than the first. You can't have it. So we have to manage properly. It's very important. So then understand, right? Now, demand and devaluation is what? Devaluation is you purposely do it. I can remember once the parliament, I'm just giving you an example only. Up you 300 na. So then parliament take a finance minister, other 300 285. That is devaluation. That is not depending on the demand and supply. No. That is devaluation. Very rare that, right? You can, but depreciation and appreciation is important for us. Now remember, so then how do you decide? How does this exchange rate is determined? Today 315, next day Monday there can be 316. How does this 1 rupee demand and supply? Demand and supply. But remember that when you have rupee, USD, LKR, there are two types of quotes. This is additional thing, but keep in mind, direct and indirect. Now you see, I don't have a box to show it to you. Now see, direct means our quote is direct quote. Again, USD, LKR, USD, now always on your left hand side equals 1. USD, LKR means always your left hand side equals 1. GBP, USD. 1 GBP, always your left hand side equals 1. The figure belongs to whom? The right hand side one. Remember that. Take the USD LKR. USD equals always 1. So the LKR belongs to whatever the amount, 316, 15, 200, whatever. Now, that is USD is on your left hand side. But if you see GBP, you must have learned by now. GBP USD. USD is on your right hand side. About USD LKR, USD is on your left hand side. But look at this. GBP USD, USD is in your right hand side. AUD USD, USD is in your right hand side. New Zealand dollars, USD, New Zealand dollars to USD, USD is in your right hand side. Then Euro USD, Euro USD, USD is on your right hand side. All these four in the world, we call it indirect codes. Why? USD is in your right hand side. Other than these four, all the exchange rates, USD is in your left hand side. So if the USD is in your left hand side, we basically say it's a direct quote. It's a direct quote. And USD is on your left hand side. What I want to tell you is now say, now we know USD LKR. So then somebody comes and asks, I need to import a vehicle. How should I pay Japanese yen? How Japanese yen, we say 10 million Japanese JPY. So then how much should I give money? How much should I give rupees? Cross rate. Cross rate. USD LKR, then you have what? USD JPY. So there is a method for you to calculate, but it's not necessary, I think. But if you need further, call me and ask. I will show it to you. USD LKR you have, then USD JPY. USD JPY is what? Which code? USD LKR is direct. USD LKR JPY direct. Why? USD is on your left hand side. So you can calculate. Then you can calculate. USD is common for both. Then you can calculate LKR and the JPY. There is a method for you to calculate. That's why banks are calculating daily. That's why banks are calculating daily. Now say, if you you want to send it money today. This year you have to send it money today. That is cash, we call it in foreign currency term. I need to send it money, cash. No, don't worry, I don't want to send it today. I need to send it tomorrow. Tom. No, it doesn't matter. Then it implies to say money can be sent not today, not tomorrow, day after. We call it spot. Anything beyond spot, anything beyond the day after, we call it forward. Now say when you import a vehicle comes after 3 months time or 1 month time. Do you want to send it money today? No, there is no cash rate. You want to send it money tomorrow? No, there is no tom rate. You want to send it money spot? No, there is no day after tomorrow. Then 1 month. So then what is that? Forward rate. So that then you can ask bank, give me a forward rate. That's what you're doing it. You ask a bank, can you give me a forward rate? Bank will give you a rate. Okay, you will settle once the vehicle comes to the port. Today 315, but some was settled under 318. Today 315, but bank will give you after 1 month time only you have to settle it, right? 318. What is this 3 rupee? Premium. How does this premium determine? There are two things. One thing is purchasing power parity. රටවල් දෙකේ තියෙන inflation එක. The other one is interest rate parity. රටවල් දෙකේ තියෙන interest rate. Generally we take interest rate parity. US වලයි ලංකාවේ තියෙන interest rate එක දිහා බලලා we decide the premium or discount. Now we don't have discount, right? Today 315 නම් after 1 month time 313 වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Very rare that. Why? Our interest rate is more than other countries interest, US interest rate. US interest rate එක ගත්තාම 100 කීයද Fed rate එක? 3% වගේ තියෙන 3.75 to 4. But our interest rate is 8%. Now see, our one is bigger than that. So then we always have a premium. අදට වඩා අපේ හෙට වැඩි. අදට වඩා අපේ forward එක වැඩි. We have now you look at Japan. They have a discount. They have a interest rate minus. For the deposits, you can't pay anything. They don't pay you. You have to pay to the bank. We had a similar situation in Europe some time ago. Euro minus interest rate. What does it mean? People are encouraged to spend, not to deposit. That's why banks have a minus interest rate. That's why bank had a minus interest rate. So then people wanted to must be heard that quantitative easing. People are investing government securities. What happened was මේ government securities ඔක්කොම buyback කරා US government එක. So then now say you invest in treasury bill, government say we will pay you. So the government will pay, government gave money to you. They took back investment or කොලේ ගත්තා, investment එක ගත්තා. So then you have money. What do you do with your money? You have to spend it. You encourage to spend. Quantitative easing. Similarly, Europe also, we had a similar situation, right? When you deposit money, we have to pay minus. Now it's not there. So they encourage to invest. Inflation is minus sometimes Japan. So they have discounts. So there is a formula for you to understand forward rate, spot rate, interest rate differential. So then remember that forward exchange rate is a derivative instrument. What does it mean? Now, see foreign exchange. Now say you import a vehicle. Today you open LG, you want to import a vehicle. Today you go to the bank, mata vehicle I want to import 1 month old mata forward rate at the end. That is one thing. So you are a student, you are an undergraduate, you have learned this, you have listened to my session, and you go there and you ask for that. You have a gut feeling. So the bank gave you 318 example. After 1 month, example only that 318 වෙන්නේ රුපියලක් විතර වැඩි වෙයි. But example, just for education purpose, 318. Now, why you want to take this? Once you receive the documents to the port, you pay whatever the prevailing interest rate. ඔයා මේ අර bank of Ceylon එක්කෙනා කිව්වා කියලා you don't want to come to a forward exchange agreement. No, don't do that. He's a bank and he's telling you to get the business only, no? So one of your friends telling you, don't do that. ඇත්ත තමයි යෝ ඉතින් මොකටද මම දැන් agree වෙන්නේ after 1 month rate එකට. I should refrain from entering into a forward exchange contract. Now 1 month comes. What was the rate when he entered into a transaction? 350. 1 month comes. Now you go to the bank. Banking award මට documents සර් මේක settle කරන්න. කීයක් මන් දෙන්න ඕනද $1 එකට? Bank says 320. එතකොට තමයි අර යාළුවව මතක් වෙන්නේ. Now, if you had entered into a forward exchange contract, you will be paying what per dollar? 318. Now you have to pay at what? $1 320. So what is that? Basically, you will be protected from the exchange adverse movement exposure. That is a derivative instrument. Similar is what? Your insurance. Once you meet with an accident, only you pay. You get the claim. You get the payment. But if you don't meet with an accident, it's a vain, right? It's useless. It's in vain of your money. But we don't have any intention to meet with an accident, right? We can't refrain from taking insurance. At least you have to take third party. If you have any what do you call ආසාවක් තියෙනවා නම් තමන්ගේ වාහනේට you take the full insurance. Sometimes during the year you don't meet with an purposely we don't meet with an accident, right? If you don't meet with an accident, it's a vain. It's a waste. We are not repressing. How many people are having full insurance? We don't know what will happen. Similarly, we don't know what will happen. Now say unfortunately it has depreciated. But look here, today you entered into a transaction 315, but since you listen to your friend and you go to the bank says 310. What happened? හොඳ වෙලාවට I didn't enter with an forward exchange contract. If I entered with an forward exchange contract, I will be paying how much? Per dollar 318. Since I have not entered with an forward exchange contract, now I am paying at 310. Benefiting or not benefiting? Benefiting. එක ඩොලරයකට රුපියල් 5ක් ලාභයි. අර මගේ කී මහන්න නැතුව වැඩි මගේ කී මහන්න නැතුව forward exchange contract එකට didn't you enter, you are benefited. නේ? Since I told you to enter with an forward exchange contract, you entered, then disaster. You pay more than 5 rupees. Since you have not listened to me, you kept it open. Now you are benefiting. Do you think every day you will have it? Then you might ask us, you are a banker, can't you predict? I should not be here then. If I predict the interest rate, if I predict the exchange rate, if I predict the inflation, if I predict the GDP rate, I should not be here, right? We are actually doing what? We are predicting the future. What is that? Forecasting. Forecasting. 2022 April 12 was the day we have announced the suspension of foreign debt. 2022 April 11. Did you know that? Did you know? No. So we're actually predicting only based on the information currently available. ඔයා කමිටි එක chair කළා කියලා ඉවරලා if you make a wrong decision, you will be not penalized if you have done the decision making based on the currently available information with a justification. You should make your decision with a justification. Basically, now 22 April, we didn't pay any foreign debts. 22 January, all the corporates in Sri Lanka, all the banks, all the companies, Sri Lanka, they prepared their budget, December budget, based on positive growth එකක් දිහා බලලා they predicted, they have budgeted, they predict the budget December මේක achieve කරනවා කියලා, but halfway through after the first quarter disaster, so we never know that. So you can't predict the future, but you can forecast. You can forecast. අද වහිනවා කියලා ඉවරලා you can forecast. Now see කාලගුණ අනාවැකිනේ. Weather forecast. Forecast can be right or wrong. Forecast can be right or wrong. It is not necessarily forecast to be right. No need. So, but only thing is, if you have taken the decision based on the current full informed information, you will be not penalized, right? So then that's what actually people are doing it. So then, so the hedging instruments are, we have internal and external, but internal hedging instruments are not using. Those are only theory purpose, but you don't want it. But only thing, forward exchange contract in Sri Lanka is that is the most popular foreign exchange exposure mitigating instrument. ඒ කියන්නේ foreign exchange risk එක අඩු කරන්න තියෙන එක instrument එකක් තමයි. We call them hedging instrument. The most popular one is what? Forward exchange contract. You entered into, but remember, hedging instruments are there not to earn profit, not to earn loss, not to incur losses, but to protect the exchange exposure. Insurance වගේ. කාර් එක ගිහිල්ලා එල්ල බලෙන් හප්ප ගන්නෑ. Right? If you meet with an accident, you will be paid. If you don't meet with an accident, it's a waste. Can't help. You're not making, you're not entering into an insurance company to make profit. You can't. Similarly, derivative instruments are there. One thing is forward exchange contract, the other one is options, right? That is one, but not in Sri Lanka. But we had few banks, but difficult to cover it. අපි දැන් cover කියලා කියන්නේ now say if you want to make a payment to Sima, you give you give rupees to the bank. Bank will send GBP to Sima Institute. So the bank has to send. The bank has to find the GBP. කවුරුත් රුපියල් ගන්න නැහැනේ. Bank has to what? Sell dollars and buy GBP. එකයි transaction එක වෙන්නේ. So then bank has to sell dollars. Once you sell dollars, bank has to purchase this dollars amount to fulfill. So that is we are calling it covering. Again, you don't keep anything open like you do forward exchange contract. You don't keep anything open. Why? We don't know what will happen tomorrow exchange rate. Now see, when we are awake, when you go to the office, Japan close, New Zealand close, Australia close. If something goes wrong with them, direct impact to our exchange rate. මං කියවනේ New Zealand dollars වලින් යනකොට එහෙම ඒ interest rate GB USD LKR then the New Zealand dollars USD. ඒතර මොන හරි අපි කියමු මොන හරි blast එකක් ගියොත් එහෙම ඒ වගේ රටක exchange getting depreciated. ඒතර we have to pay more. We are at sleep. So that's why you don't keep anything open. You have to cover it. Buy එකයි sell එකයි you have to tell it. පොඩ්ඩක් open තියාගත්තොත් I'll come to that position. Now when we go to sleep, US coming. Europe zone coming. So now ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ වෙන දේවල් there's a direct impact to us. So remember that. I'll tell you one example. Now you have a deposit with a bank which pays we say 10%. So the bank basically invest 1 year deposit. Your father and mother put a deposit in a bank 1 year 10%. What does the bank do? Bank take a decision. Okay, I have one deposit. Bank will invest this amount 1 year loan එකක් දෙනවා 12% also 2% margin. There is no tenor mismatch. Deposit also 1 month, 1 year. Lending loan එකත් 1 month, 1 year. There is no tenor mismatch. 2% bank keeps a margin. Good. After 1 year, your parents come. You're asking the money back. Okay, don't worry. We have invested your money. Loan එකත් හොඳට ගෙවුවා. We will give you money. That's it. Good transaction. Your assets and liabilities match. Very good. You don't have any mismatch. Customer also happy. Bank keeps a 2% margin profit. Good. Bank takes a radical decision. Your money, your mother has put 1 year deposit at 10%. Bank decides to give this money to a loan which is a housing loan. 1 year වලින් ඉවර වෙන්නේ housing loan එක. අවුරුදු 20ක් 25ක්. You give housing loan. Your mother comes after 1 year. මං 1 year deposited them. Can you give me money? So the bank manager says, no, we have invested your money for 25-year housing loan. You have to. Have you ever seen that bank saying this? So, but you can give this particular housing loan 25 years at 14%. Earlier, how much you earned? 2% bank. Now this transaction, 10 to 14, 4%. But there is what? Tenor mismatch. There is a tenor mismatch. Which one is profitable? Obviously, 4% is profitable, right? That's what banks are doing. But the banks are doing that. If you match apple to apple, you can survive. You can survive, but you won't make any super profit. So the banks are not taking any decision to match the tenor. Banks they have a separate ALCO, Assets and Liability Management Committee, to take this decision, pricing decision, liquidity decision, everything they take it. So this is a huge task banks are doing, right? So only me talking. I think I have I think I have covered which I have given to him. If you have any question, please ask. Sorry to keep you long hours. Uh, oh yeah. So we have discussed only one international payment. One thing is advance payment. It's available on your notes. Basically, it's very literal meaning. You pay money before you receive the money, goods, advance payment. But there are restriction for you to make payment. And open account. Open account means basically goods are sent here. Later you will pay the money. That is one thing. Those are things. Then we have a documentary collection, another method. Under documentary collection, we have two things: documentary payment and documentary acceptance. Now say you import a vehicle. What happened is exporter sends document to the local bank. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ජපානෙත් එක්ක මොකක් හරි වාහනයක් ගෙන්න ගන්න ගියා නම් ඒ ජපානයේ තියෙන ආයතනයේ යාගේ බැංකුව තියෙනවා ජපානයේ. That bank sends set of documents to your bank in Sri Lanka. So then the bank will inform you, sir, your document has come, please make the payment. So once you go there, then you take the documents, you make the payment, that is documentary acceptance. So documentary payment, DP. You make the payment, take the document, then you can release the goods. But the other method is documentary acceptance means that particular Japan bank sends money, send document to, we say Bank of Ceylon, your customer, you are a customer of Bank of Ceylon, send money here. What happened is I don't pay if I'm the customer. You are a customer of Bank of Ceylon. You don't pay money immediately. You will sign a bill of exchange where you agreed to settle the amount later date, 3 months, 90 days, 30 days. Then with that document, you go to the port, get the goods released. That is one thing. If everything is in your notes, don't worry. Only thing is documentary collection, there are DP and DA. DA means you don't pay money. You accept the documents. Later you give a credit line. Same thing. Export again, you are importer. Exporter will give you a credit line to pay you. That is credit line means we sign a document which is we call it bill of exchange. Later you will settle it. DP means you have to make the payment and get the documents. Then you go to the port and release the vehicle. Open account, advance payment, then LC. We did it. So recent trends also we discussed in large scale. But if you have any question, you can ask. I know it's holiday. Vinupa told me that your session is going to be. I don't know whether you are still in the university, but today's market. I think I have covered determination. That's all. But I think I have covered. If you have any question, you can ask anything. Don't worry about it. Ask any question. We have 10 minutes. If you have further get to know something, we discuss something additional thing also, government securities. But if you have everything, if you want anything further clarification, just ask from Vinu's my number and call me and get the things done. Any question you have to ask? Anything we
So,
missed?
so
Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah, can hear you.
So the question is, with ongoing global conflicts like the Iran-USA situation, what long-term strategies should Sri Lanka focus on to become more resilient to global economic disruptions?
Yeah. Yes, it's a very good question. Now, see, what can be done? What can we basically do to protect this crisis situation? She was asking that. So, only thing is, we have been talking about. We are a resilient country, right? So, we had the deepest crisis in 2022. This is not the one of the deepest crises. So, I told you the difference between now and then. Those days we didn't have any fuel, especially, right? Now we didn't have money. We had, sorry, fuel was there, goods were there, but only thing we didn't have money. But only issue is here. we have a temporary setback. We have to accept it. We have temporary setback. Only thing is not only the foreign exchange side, but rupee side also. Why? Our businesses can't do properly. Anybody who was having the tea export business, they can't export their tea to Middle East countries. Then they are lacking of what? Business income. When you have a business income low, you will pay less tax or more tax? Less tax. Then government will have less amount of rupees. So there will be a pressure on rupee as well. We have a pressure on anyway foreign exchange market. Now, if there is a situation like this, we would have gone abroad. US වල ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. අපි කියමු ඉන්දියාව වල ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. සිංගප්පූරු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. But we can't go out of the market with this debt restructuring is one thing. IMF is not allowed for us to go to the international market to raise funds, and we can't borrow. Why? We are not at the investment grade rating. No one will give us money to the government. Very rare that donate ADB, World Bank, uh, ADB, World Bank, and those donor agencies, multilateral agencies will give some kind of money because they know that we are under restructuring strategies. But if you take other foreign entities like who has invested previously in government ISBs, won't invest with us. එහෙමනම් we would have got it this port city. But we have a green light now. Since the Middle East are unsafe for the investors, there's a tendency them to come to Sri Lanka for the port city investment. That's a very good opportunity for us to capitalize it. We need to capitalize it. Only hope we have now, we know that the large amount of money we received through exports, now the very difficult, now inflation of US also going up. Large amount of money they're spending for war situation, inflation is going up. So then not only the tea, but the garments we export to US also get impacted. People won't buy it, right? So then export market will have a kind of large setback. Remittance is also similar. If the situation not come to normalcy, people won't can't work, they can't send money. Sometimes they may lose the jobs also. Impacted. Only hope tourism is anyway out. Middle East countries will in, but other countries, of course, we can have it, but not at the accepted level. Tourism, we are getting 4 billion annually, right? Generally, before May 2019 Easter Sunday attack. After that, we didn't have it. Then we actually, we get something. But only hope is the FDIs. So we have ample of opportunities. Port City, we have seen kind of inquiries from countries who are affected by war, and they are making last 3 to 4 months. Last month we had several discussion also. Foreign invest come and invest here. Very good opportunity for us. So we want to capitalize it very well. That is the only hope we have. Otherwise, we can't go to the international market raise fund. We have to survive. We have to survive these four market inflows. But only survival is FDI. Only survival is FDI. So that we can use these reserves as well. But I don't think that we don't know how prolonged this war is going to be, but I don't think that there will be a huge impact to everybody now, this right? Not only Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is badly hit, but we have opportunity to capitalize port city. I think that we should actually more focus on to have what you call this port city investment plus import side, we should have a kind of restriction. But I think we have last year we have spent $2 billion for the vehicle imports with the increase of the ban lift of importation. But government has not put any restriction so far. But they have actually put the conditions on energy savings. Then we have 4 billion bill every year, crude oil, crude plus refined oil. So 4 billion bill. At least we have to reduce import expenses also. But at the moment, no curtail, nothing. But when the situation getting worse, I think government will, central bank will take some measures as well to curtail. I don't know. I'm just thinking to preserve. We need to anyway preserve this whatever the save general reserve. We can't put central bank put everything into market to protect the exchange rate. You can't do that. So then how can you start making the payment? 2028. Little difficult situation we have to manage. That's why I told you manage carefully. We have opportunities, but only thing we should be ready to utilize and capitalize it. Any further question you have?
Sir, I got a question as well. So with that ongoing US and Iran conflicts, so with the countries like Russia and Iran, they encourage us to pay or import fuel in terms of yuan or ruble. So instead of using US dollar. So what will happen to the dominance of the US dollar since those both countries are sanctioned?
Yes. Now, generally, our tea export, large amount of tea export goes to Iran. Iran is US sanctioned country. Large amount of tea goes to Russia. Large US sanction. There is no UN sanction on that. But our tea exporters are sending their goods, but they are receiving money also. Now look at this. How does this happen? Sanctioned countries, but still our tea exporters are going. How can they do that? There is a alternative methods to do that. There are alternative methods to do that. So basically, they had opportunity to take their money through Dubai and Turkey. That was the previously done this. Very true that yes, when we import when we import crude oil from Russia, Russia is asking money mode of payment through yuan. Why? When you make the payment in dollars, when you make the payment dollars, it has to come through US. ඔය මොනවයි ඩොලර් පේමන්ට් එකක් කරනවා, it has gone to US and come back. Or ඉන්දියාවට when you make the payment to import onions, dollar payment, you have to go, once you make the payment today, then night it has to go to the US bank, then come to the Iran, India. That's the method. To avoid that, you have remember that the Indian rupee has been recognized as a designated currency. So then you can make the payment India without having dollars. Now we have 14 or 15 designated currency in Sri Lanka. Recent addition is what? Indian rupees. So then anybody who is importing from India, I'm just taking the example from Sri Lanka. Anybody who is importing from Sri Lanka, India, they can make the payment in the INR. They don't want to make the payment in dollars. It's very straightforward. But issue is what? Indian exporters don't like to accept INR. That is their home currency. Reported currency is INR, but they don't want. Why? Why? When you have INR in your hand, you can't do anything. When you have dollars in your hand, you can do many things. What? When the Indian rupee getting depreciated, you get what? More INR. Generally, like Sri Lanka, INR also getting depreciated. So when the country is having their currency is getting depreciated, better to have dollars, better to have foreign exchange in their hand rather than having report currency. That is one thing. That's they don't like it. But you said yes. Now we have an opportunity to make the payment in yuan. We can do that. But the only thing is now many countries now say if we are starting to do this, no, Chinese renminbi is also designated currency in Sri Lanka. You can accept, banks can accept deposit in yuan, renminbi. You can do that. But you can make the payment also. But what happens is if you have this, you can make the ad hoc payment, you can make it. Now this is crisis happen. You can make it yuan. You can make it in INR. Do that. Can do. Sometimes there was a discussion also, Russian oil to pay in AED, dirham. Possible. So they want to avoid the dollars. Why? When the dollars goes to their US country, there will be a freezing happen. So they don't want to avoid dollars. But only thing is, still we see many people try to, especially China, try to use this their currency as dominant currency. I don't know. I think the efforts replace the dollar has not much succeeded. There are some banks, some countries have accepted settlement in yuan, true. But dominance has to be there. What? Dominant is there what? Dollar. Now say, for example, I tell you, we decided to do every transaction in yuan. What will happen? You will, US tell us, okay, all the banks in US can't do any transaction with Sri Lanka. We have Standard Chart, we have Citibank, we have Deutsche Bank, that is in Europe. Then we have HSBC, Citi, Standard Chart, what else? We have a number of banks. We have a number of banks in Sri Lanka. So we do large number of transactions through these. Moreover, our central bank account is also with US. Reserves ඔක්කොම තියෙන US වල තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ account එක තියෙන්නේ. All the banks in Sri Lanka have accounts in US bank. So what will happen? So they can freeze it. So we can't actually undertake entire mode of payment through yuan. It's not possible for us. We are a small country. We don't have any authority. We don't have any dominance. We can't do that. We have to depend. We are dependent on somebody else. So but emergency situation, of course, one ad hoc transaction, yes. But I don't think that we as a country, we can have all the payments in yuan. I don't think it's not possible for us to. We are a dependent country. But yes, very correct. You said yes. Recently, yesterday also we got a call that whether payment can be done in AED, dirham. So then you have to find the bank in Middle East and find out the payment methods. We can do that. We can do that. But remember that anything you import from India, you can make the payment in INR, right? It's a designated currency. Then we have number of currencies now. For example, we say Kuwait dinar. Kuwait dinar is also accepting here, but you can't make deposit with Kuwait dinar. But you can actually, when you go to Kuwait, if the banks actually willing to give Kuwait dinar currency can be available. But you can accept dollars. Kuwait dinar is also designated currency, but you can accept deposits. Oman Riyal, Saudi Riyal, also banks can issue if they have currencies. Valid. But you can't accept deposits. Right? Norwegian currency, accepted currency. Swiss franc you can take deposit. NOK you can take deposits also. But Middle East countries, you can accept currencies, but you can't take deposits. Those are designated currency by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. We have Thai baht, recent addition. Chinese renminbi, then the INR, designated currency. You can bring INR here, spend here. That's what it means. Any question you have? Binupa, are you there?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Mr. Jeevan, I think they have asked questions, no? So then we can go to Diana. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have prepared a small note of thank for you, Mr. Jeevan. So Diana, can you go ahead?
So good morning, everyone. It's my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for today's insightful session on international trade and payments with a special focus on payment mechanisms. So first and foremost, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our distinguished resource person, Mr. R.M.N. Jeevantha, Acting Chief Operating Officer of Bank of Ceylon, for sharing his valuable knowledge and extensive industry experience with us. Also, his practical insights into treasury management, international banking, and payment systems have greatly enhanced our understanding of this important subject area. So, we are truly grateful for the time and effort he has taken to guide us. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our respected lecturer, Professor Sumudu Pereira, for organizing this valuable session and for her continuous guidance and support in enriching our academic journey. Also, a special note of appreciation goes to Mr. Binura Shamin, the assistant lecturer at the department, for his support and assistance in coordinating and facilitating this session. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants for your active involvement and engagement throughout the session. Once again, thank you everyone for contributing to the success of today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate that all the people, all the students who have joined from the beginning has been there. Thank you very much, very encouraging. If you have any question, tell Binra. Binra has my number. Anytime I would like to help you out. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. All the very best for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeevan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.